Welcome to a casual first impression of Evangelion, Thrice Upon a Time. I just watched it. Today was the world release of the sub, officially. I watched it with a bunch of people, and we were laughing the entire time because this falls into that category of it's so bad it's good. The movie itself is slightly above average. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. But to me, its greatest powers were being hilariously bad and having a really good soundtrack. There was also a surprising amount of fan service in this film I was not expecting. I was expecting some, but not that much. The story itself doesn't answer a lot of the problems that the viewers have had for a long time now. Who is Mary? What is the significance of her last name being revealed by Fuyutsuki before he gets watermeloned? How was Mary able to just maneuver herself all over the plot when it looked impossible for her to be in certain areas? She was there, and this happened repeatedly. She also wins the Shinji Bowl, and back when the movie first came out, I saw all the spoilers. I had forgotten most of them by today, which is good. That way I could be surprised by some of the reveals in the film today. Ken, I guess you could say, ends up with Asuka, which made a lot of people angry. And Rei ends up with Kaworu. And for being for being 2.5 hours, it starts off with a recap. For a few minutes, then you get the farm scene where, in another hilariously bad part of the movie, Rei Q, I forgot what she's called. It might have been that. She forgets her memory, and she keeps asking everybody all these basic questions about being a human. I get it; it was cute at first, but it kind of got dragged on a little too far. And turns out she can't survive outside of where she out of nerve, so her body starts to fall apart, change colors. She does learn to be more human. And she goes to thank Shinji. She does realize that her time is running out, and that she after she talks to Shinji, she gets watermelon, or she dies. Her head explodes. That was Shinji himself. I found it very funny. He did almost nothing for 2 hours in the film. He was very traumatized in the beginning. He was unable to get to it, to the point that it made Asuka mad, and the scene that probably used the most budget in the film, with horrifying camera work, she force feeds him food to get him to stay alive, because he was bedridden for days, and then he runs away. That was just very funny to watch. Later on towards the film, we get a lot of very strange lines that get said by the characters. The average person that watches this is well, I think it was like 70, 80 of us watching it. It looked like a great number of people were confused about what was happening a lot of the time. And of course, the CGI was atrocious. It was horrible. It was SS Dino Xenon for me all over again. We have buildings flying around like bricks. This bland, boring, soulless mechas and Evas fighting. And of course, there's the Rei Yanagami head that looks like Anna Anaconda, and then it explodes. It was just so bad. It was funny. I could not stop laughing at this film. I had a very good laugh watching Evangelion Thrice Upon a Time. It was one of the best laughs I had in a while. But the music, Sagisu, of course, does an excellent job, consistently putting out hit after hit after hit after hit song, as he always has, as he has in other works like Karakano, Dino Xenon, Bleach, and a lot of other works. He's a very great composer. He kind of saved this film partly with his music. I did like the deep dive into Gendo, how he's just like Shinji, which is not surprising, that's his son, but they explore Gendo's insecurities, whereas in the series and in the movie, he was more like this very serious professional just business only oriented character who had a weak spot for looking for his wife Yui. All we knew about his past, or all that was shown to the viewers about his past, was that he was sort of a delinquent when he was younger before he got with Yui. But he gets very personal in this movie, talking about all the insecurities and all his problems. By the end, a bunch of impacts attempt to happen, and everybody seems to live happily ever after. We get a drone shot of, I guess, Hideaki Anno's town. The moment that was supposed to be the in end of Evangelion, that song at the end, the tumbling down song. Can't remember the name because it's a foreign language. This movie attempted to do it with Joy for the World. I didn't really feel the same impact. It was decent. The Crow Speaks. Speaking of hilariously bad, there were moments where it felt like you were watching, and somebody did point this out when we were watching it. There were some moments that felt like behind the scenes, even though they weren't intended to be that. But it was just, where the budget? I'm really curious to see where the budget was put in this film, because a lot of it was just nonsensical and just hilarious. But yeah, overall the reboot series was a mistake. I did not read. I'm not a fan of the reboots. I would rather just only refer back to the original series and the end of Evangelion. On a certain forum, they said that Anno was hinting that he's not done with it. I don't know what that means, but the end isn't here yet. But for a lot of us, this felt like the end of an era. Those of us who have been watching Evangelion for a long time now, many of us finally got closure today by watching this film. Yeah, 7 out of 10. Very great comedy. Would not recommend. And thank you for listening.